what a franchise needs is great operators, right? And what great operators need is a model, a system to follow, right? And that's probably, Jeff, you would know better than I, but that's probably what great realtors need too. So,
same. Yep. Here's the challenge. There's so much messaging, and this is where why our podcast ranks in the top 10 real estate podcasts in the country. We're the only one focused on teams. You talk about modeling. Every other person I know that talks on podcasts teaches people how to be a real estate agent. Teaches people what that means is teaches people how to run on a hamster wheel. Teaches people how to work that job you talked about hating when you became an attorney, and you recognize it wasn't as glamorous as they told you it was going to be in your Ivy League school. And the challenge is to become a person that is an authority that gets to lead others is you have to prove a model. And to prove a model, you have to work the job. And I worked the job for 6 years. I was an agent full time. I did 50 deals a year. I did very well for myself as an agent. Then I was a team leader for 5 years. And I did very well for myself. And I stopped selling as a team leader because true leaders serve their followers by empowering them to become just like them. And then I stopped being a team and we launched a brokerage. And now here we are scaling the brokerage. We want to be in 100 cities over the next 5 years, building a model that saves the traditional broker by partnering in services like mortgage, title, insurance to hedge against the commission suppression that I believe is coming, and to save the traditional brokerage, which saves the traditional agent role, because today agents are compensated on commission dollars. And I believe in the future, they will be compensated on a salary that comes from the ancillary, not from the brokerage.
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting point of view. And, it does get to the point where there is more money in the ancillary services than there is in the brokerage. And so what happens is where you see these big multipliers, and I think they're going to go away pretty soon, but where you see these big multipliers where brokerages are selling for big dollars is they're really selling for the network. They're not looking at, I forget which, the name of the company that sold to. I knew a couple of big firms that sold to Compass for a lot of money, and Compass wasn't looking at, hey, what's the bottom line that we're going to add to it? They're looking to expand that whole network.
Yep. I've heard 15x, I've heard 20x. So you look at what businesses benefit the most by being inside the network. And another word for the network is the data. And if you control the data or the person who has relationships to that data, you can sell the data anything. You can sell them Pizza Hut pizza. You can sell them ADT security systems. You can sell them Dish Network. You can sell them, the list goes on and on and on, but you have to put them in an ecosystem where they can be sold and create communication channels that allow for the point of sale to take place. And that's what I think they're buying, is access to that point of sale and the connection to the person who's created a relationship of trust, the authority, if you will.
Right. And and that's where I do think that you want to stay in your own lane and do what you do best. So Jeff, it's not just to pander to you and, because we're friends and we're on your podcast, but, finding someone that can help you leverage into these other areas is a very smart way to do it. I certainly have made the mistake of trying to do it all myself. When you can get into business with somebody that can lead you in the right direction. I won't, don't even mention the name, but as an experiment, I bought a sort of marquee brand that was dying out in LA. And I put an operator that I thought was a good operator in charge of that asset. It did not do well. I had a conversation with Jeff years ago, and he's like, dude, let me come in there. I'll do this for you. I'll do that for you. We'll split it 50-50. I'm like, why am I splitting it 50-50 with Jeff? And I'll never forget, when we would talk, you wouldn't hit me every time, but, once a year, you'd be like, so how's that thing going? I'd be like, dude, it's terrible. Getting into business with somebody that knows, that's back to one of the first things that I said, which is just a general advice, which is stay in your